ambitious at best and disastrous at worst. I think that we should not be doing that at all because we just don't have enough information. I think Anthony Fauci, I think the CDC, World Health Organization, everyone has said we shouldn't be doing that now, and he is deciding that he wants to do it. I don't. I think that it should be in a phased approach, in a three-phase approach. But I just don't think that that phase one should start anytime soon. I think that's the issue.
So he is leaving it up to the governors. Tell us about the governor in your state. We know you're part of the task force. Tell us what's happening you're in New Orleans right now, are you?
Yes, I'm in New Orleans.
Okay.
And the governor has, several cities have pushed their reopening date back. New Orleans was supposed to be April 30th. Now we pushed it back to the middle of May. Our mayor has actually stopped Jazz Fest and stopped saying that we're not going to have any of those types of events until 2021, with a lot of pushback. A lot of pushback from that, but still, that's what she is proposing. The governor still has not moved reopening past and the stay-in order past the 30th of April, but I think that he will probably move it till May 15th, 16th, and then reevaluate. And we've already said that we're going to keep schools closed for the remainder of the year, just open back up in the fall, and that's the plan. I think anyone that's hastily doing this, I hope that if they do it, that we're wrong. I really hope that we are, because herd immunity is going to take a while. And what herd immunity is that enough people actually get the disease so that, it's hard for other people to get it. And also it could be herd immunity if we get a vaccine, which is no time soon. We have lots of medicines in clinical trials, Ranafin, Diamox, all types of antiretrovirals. But the point is that right now we don't have a cure, and that's the bottom line. And if we do it too fast, it's going to be bad.
How are things where you are? Getting worse, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, basically what we're seeing less testing being done, which means we're going to see less cases, right? Remember, we always talk about positive cases are only coming from positive tests. And if you don't do any tests, you don't have any positive cases. So that's a whole other issue. But we are seeing the deaths continue to rise, which we expect. And it's all, there's some younger people, but most, by and large, is people that are over the age of 65 with illnesses. And just remember that when you have these pre-existing illnesses, it doesn't mean that you're more prone to get coronavirus. It means that you're more prone to get a bad outcome from coronavirus, because everybody has the same chance of contracting coronavirus. Just that if you have a pre-existing illness, then the odds of you dying or having a bad morbidity are very high.
Are African Americans finally getting the message?
It's a hard thing. Black people, we've been through a lot, and so we are pretty weary. And so when the Surgeon General came out and said, to quit doing this and quit doing that, it fell on deaf ears, because you have to be empathetic with people at first before you tell them what to do. So, people that have been trying to be on the road to wellness for many years, and then every time a roadblock is put in there for their health, meaning it would be inadvertent or very strategically placed in their way by the powers that be, you get tired of it. And so we're just a lot of us are just tired, like, whatever, we're just going to do what we need to do. But what I implore, I ask every African-American person, please, we have to stick together now. We have to stick together. And so, I'm not making this a bootstrap moment for you, but what I am saying is that I'm going to pull you up by your bootstraps if you listen to me. And right now we have to stick together, because we have to pull each other over the hurdles. We can't just stop the race, because if we stop the race, we stop the race. You know what I mean?
Pull each other up how? What do you
mean? Meaning the messaging. So if I tell you I need you to choose to not drink soda and I need you to drink more water, that's hard for some people to do. But you are descendants from kings and queens. You can do anything if you put your mind to it and you get inspired to do it, meaning that you know that you should not drink soda and that you should drink water, but you do it because you feel hopeless. But I'm trying to give you hope, to tell you if we do this right, then you will survive. And that's the best thing I can do, because you feel my empathy to tell you, like, look, I know that you've been through it. I know you've been through it, but we can't give up. We can't give up. We have to keep on keeping on, or our grandmothers are going to die, and we won't have our grandmothers and grandfathers. We lose a whole culture, so we'll lose a whole race. Like I meant, if we lose the race, so we have to keep going, and it takes people like you, and takes people like me to inspire us to move. Because if we're not inspired to move, we're stagnant. And we can't be stagnant anymore. Anthony Fauci came out and said, this is shining a light on all the disparities. Well, I disagree, because the light has been shining for a long time. We have agencies that spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year to address these disparities, but Anthony Fauci is not going to be the man that's going to be able to go in the hood and tell people what to do. You have to have the messaging right. And so a light has been there, but it's just a dimly lit candle. And what now we're seeing is a LED floodlight on the problem. And so the money is going to have to be there, and it's going to take a lot of courage from African Americans to say we can get through this. But it's also going to have to take a lot of courage on behalf of our legislators, white and black, to do things that are not very popular to make these disparities go away.
Absolutely. So what about the task force that the governor made you head of for African American research? Anything happening with that?
Yes, so we have a lot of things going on. We are very concerned about the sickle cell status of our state. I find that there's going to be a fine thread that has been interwoven between all of this Black death, and I just don't think that it's just the pre-existing illnesses. I think it's something else, and our goal is to try to find it. So we're putting the resources behind trying to find the common denominator of the things that are making African Americans die. And so also there are lots of clinical trials going on. Some of them are actually using hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin. But there's the study that came out of France the other day is very horrible. You're talking about hydrochloroquine, because basically they had, and the data is pretty good. It's a published study, not peer reviewed yet, but they had about 80 people on each arm of the study in the ICU. And so the people that were in the ICU that got hydroxychloroquine didn't do any better than the people that were in the ICU that didn't get it. So it basically meant that hydroxychloroquine was basically ineffective, because both arms had the same outcome, and half the people got it, half the people didn't. And furthermore, the people that got it actually got the cardiotoxic side effects, so they actually did worse than the people that didn't get it. You see what I mean? So that is not good. That's not good.
So we're still looking for the answer. We still don't have it, which means we have to adhere by these strict social distancing and all these other restrictions.
That's it. There's no way around it. And we know that the virus, we thought that it was shedding for about 14 days, but now we know that there's studies to show that the virus is shedding for about maybe 25 to 30 days. So that means that when you get the disease and you're cured, well, not cured, but you get the disease and it has resolved, that you still need to wear a mask. And that's why you notice all of a sudden we were telling everybody, don't worry about wearing a mask. And then all of a sudden it said, everybody wear a mask. The reason why is because we told people that you didn't have to do that, because after 14 days we thought we weren't shedding. But now we are shedding. So now that you are feeling good and you go back out in society, you need to wear a mask, because you still may be shedding that virus even though you feel great.